With the new school year approaching and the topic of student loan debt being a pivotal issue, I decided I wanted to give my take on, is college still worth it in 2024? And now a disclaimer. I didn't go to college myself and was still able to become successful. And I know that's the case for a lot of people who didn't go to college, but I also know quite a few people who are very successful who did go to college. So I don't think the answer is as simple as most people make it seem. Again, I think it's a complicated issue, and we'll talk all about that in this video. But I do want to point out that there are a few very glaring issues going on with higher education right now at the moment. The most problematic of those being the student loan debt crisis. So the value proposition of college, at least how I understand it, and as it's being told to high schoolers, is that you take out a loan to go to college, and by doing so, you increase the amount of money you make over your lifetime. And with the increased amount of money that you're making over your lifetime, you then in turn pay off the debt that it cost you to go to college. Now, if that was the case, then the student loan debt crisis wouldn't even be an issue because the value proposition would be fulfilling itself. You'd be able to pay the debt that you took, and you would still be making more money than if you hadn't gone to college in the first place. But that's not the case though, right? College graduates are finding it impossible to pay off the debt that they took out to go to college. And I think it's a three-pronged issue, being the cost of education increasing so much, the value of a college degree declining significantly over the past several decades, and big companies removing the criteria of going to college from their job requirements. And the second major issue is this: 33% of people who go to college end up dropping out and never completing it. And out of the ones who do complete it and graduate, over 50% of them end up getting a job that never required a college degree in the first place. Not a different degree to what they majored in, but no degree in the first place. Now, those two problems I mentioned undermine the value proposition of college in the first place, but I still think it's more nuanced. And I want to talk about three things that I think are fundamental to figuring out, is college worth it in 2024? Number one, most importantly, it boils down to, what are you planning on majoring in? Number two, what kind of person are you? This will determine a lot about whether college is the right path for you and whether you're going to get the value out of it. And then finally, number three, what do you plan on getting out of college? A lot of people go into college not knowing what they're trying to get out of it, and that's what's leading to so many people dropping out and then not using their degrees once they get into the actual workforce. So number one, what do you plan on majoring in? And I put this as number one because this kind of determines off the bat whether you should go to college or should not go to college for the most part. Now, obviously, doctors, if you want to be a biochemical engineer, you probably need to go to college for that. And according to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, the 20 highest paying jobs by median salary are all in the medical field. After that, you start getting into the engineers, the professionals such as lawyers, chief executives of companies, but the top 20 are all in the medical field. So if you're planning on becoming a doctor or an anesthesiologist, then yeah, college is probably the right path for you. I know if I was going in for a surgery, I would not want to hear that my surgeon practiced his skills by watching YouTube videos, okay? I know we all feel that way. But if you want to go into something like business or computer science or journalism or communications, I think there's a lot more value to be had in self-learning and not spending the money to go into debt to be able to be just as proficient as the people who come out the other side of college. For instance, entrepreneurs are popping up every day, building extremely successful businesses just because they went through the repetitions of learning skills on the internet, putting them into practice in real life, and developing and honing them. Journalists, podcasters, these are people who just simply buy the equipment, get started, go out and talk to people, learn and refine their skills, end up amassing a huge audience and immense success from these things. Computer science. There are so many workshops online where you can learn how to code, build apps, do partnership events with people, and learn and hone these skills in a way that doesn't cost you 20, 30, 40, $50,000 per year just to learn the same thing. Number two, what kind of person are you? And now this requires some self-awareness, which I know isn't always the easiest thing to do. Looking in the mirror and figuring out what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. But this will be extremely beneficial for you in determining how to approach what your path in life is going to be. Now, if you're someone who lacks discipline, lacks focus, is unsure about what their goals are and what they want to do, then I think college is the appropriate path for you because it allows you to learn in a structured and controlled environment where you're given instruction and given tasks, and then you're told to go out and complete those tasks. And it kind of sets you up to be a cog in the machine once you get out into the workplace. But if you're someone who's more of a free thinker, you're disciplined, you have conviction in what you're doing, you have drive and you have focus, then I would say taking the self-learning route is going to be far more valuable for you. You'll be able to learn specifically what you want to learn, dive deep into it without having the general education classes and the other things that you have to learn that aren't fundamentally important to what you already know that you want to do. One of the hardest things about freedom is that it also comes with responsibility, meaning that if you choose to go down a certain path and do a certain thing, you are responsible for the results that you get from that thing and the mistakes that you make. College is going to teach you a lot of theoretical knowledge and not a lot of practical knowledge. And I think that's why more companies today are dropping a college degree requirement from their job criteria because they understand that in this technological world, people are able to go out there and do things for themselves, gain the practical knowledge that a college student simply just can't get. And it makes them much more attractive employees because they actually have the real world experience that is required in business. It's like if I told you if you flip a coin, you have a 50% chance of it being heads and a 50% chance of it being tails. But in the real world, if you flip a coin 10 times, it could be tails 9 of those times. So the theoretical knowledge most of the time breaks down once you start putting it into practice. For instance, you could learn in an advertising class that this is the right way to make an advertisement. And then you get out into the real world for the company that you're working for, and you realize that the advertisements that work for them, for their market, are completely different than what you learned in school. And you don't really understand how or why that is the case. Now, someone who started a social media marketing agency and maybe has been working on it for 4 years while their peer was in college, they're going to have a way better understanding of these are the kind of things that work for this particular business, this particular demographic, this particular market segment, and they're going to know how to change and vary and adjust their service or their tactics or their strategy based upon multiple factors, while the person who's coming out of college is really going to have only the fundamental understanding of what they've been taught in college and the way that they were taught to do that particular thing. And number 3, what are you trying to get out of college? I think a lot of young people go to college not because they want to, but because society has told them that they need to, or their parents have told them that they need to. And they've been sold that this is the only path to true success. But that is not the case. If you want to make a lot of money in college, then there's probably 10 to 20 professions that you should be focusing on doing. The medical fields, the engineering fields. But outside of that, if you want to make $1 million, you're probably a lot better off going down the entrepreneurial journey on your own, watching Alex Hormozy videos and going out and putting these things into practice. Sure, you're going to fail a bunch. Sure, you're not going to find success on your first try, but nobody does. But once you get the reps and you go out there and you start understanding how to be successful in the real world, dealing with real people, people with different needs and goals, you are going to be much further ahead than somebody who just simply learned how to do these things from a textbook. Now, as someone who didn't attend college, in my personal opinion, the number one thing you can get from going to college is the network. Now, I know I've said that a lot of people don't make money and a lot of people don't graduate and a lot of people end up working jobs that they don't need a degree for. But if you end up majoring in one of those fields or have friends in one of those fields that do yield a true return from college, having those people in your network is only going to be beneficial for you. If you have friends who are in finance, well, now it's going to be easier for you to find investment for real estate deals or investment for business. If you have friends who are in the medical field, now one day you'll have friends who are high income earners and can potentially invest in your company or invest in real estate deals that you may have, or be able to introduce you to other doctors and high income earners around them. And it's a snowball effect. But if you want to go to college simply because you want to make a lot of money, well, we already know outside of 10 to 20 majors, you're not going to be making the money that you think that you are. In fact, by looking at the student debt crisis, you're probably going to be in a position to where you can't even pay off the debt that you took out in the first place. And if you're somebody who wants to expand their mind or expand their ways of thinking or learn different subjects because you're simply interested in them, I completely understand that as well. I just think there's a way to do that that doesn't cost you so much money and put you in a position to have debt hanging over your head that sets you back for the next 5, 10, 15 years even. But if you're just going to college to simply get that piece of paper, then you're going for the wrong reason, because all that leads to is people pursuing easy majors where they can have an easy course load, coast by, not really grow, develop any skills, and then they come out the end not prepared to be valuable in the marketplace. And that's what ends up leading to 50% of people working in jobs that never required a college degree in the first place. Because while they have the piece of paper, they don't have any tangible skills that allow them to become a high income earner and end up paying off that debt that they took. So in conclusion, should you go to college in 2024? I think the answer is, well, it depends. I think there's value to be had from going to college, but you have to be intentional about your purpose and what you're trying to achieve. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm really interested to hear some takes on what you guys think. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be releasing videos on business, personal development, life, and I hope to be able to provide a lot of value to you guys. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.